Oftentimes, it's really hard to stop using fast marketing in your business if you decide it no longer feels aligned for you. Maybe that is the sense of your clients are no longer on the platform, or you just don't want to use social media for your business anymore because it doesn't align with your personal lifestyle and values. It can be really challenging to decide to move off of it, because if that's where your primary sales resource or leads are coming from, then to stop doing it means you stop generating income in your business, which does not seem ideal. And I don't really know very many people who would want to take a huge income cut.
Welcome to Go Get Great, the podcast for aspiring entrepreneurs and ambitious small business owners. I'm your host, Brittany, owner of Brittany Miller Socials and mother of 3. Go Get Great is all about helping you make life and business work together. You'll learn about the fumbles that helped get me and my guests to where we are today so you don't have to make them. So come join the journey with Go Get Great.
Not all marketing activities are created equally. Understanding the difference and building in both fast and slow marketing channels is going to help you generate sales quickly to get your business off the ground, while also helping you work towards sustainability in the future. So if the terms fast and slow marketing are totally new to you, don't worry, we're going to break all of that down in today's episode. So getting started with fast marketing, this is probably the one that you guys are most familiar with, although you may not have heard it called fast marketing before. But traditionally, social media is an example of fast marketing. So think Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn even, Threads would technically count here as well, TikTok. All of those are considered fast marketing because you can see results, typically sales, relatively quickly. I also call it fast marketing because it tends to have a very short content lifespan. So it's like a fast... burns fast and then disappears quickly. So you have to constantly be creating new content to stay relevant on the platform. So there are some pros and cons to using fast marketing. So some pros, is that it can help you generate sales relatively quickly. Like you could create a social media account for your business and within a couple weeks or a couple months, depending obviously on what you sell and et cetera, you could start seeing sales come in from your social media efforts. It's also typically very beginner friendly because most of us are on social media already anyway. Even if we're not using it for business purposes, we typically understand how the platform functions in total. So it doesn't necessarily feel intimidating for us to start promoting a business on there. We know how to create an account, how to post content, etc. And lastly, it's usually free. And I put free in air quotes here if you're watching the video or if you're not watching the video, because our time is still required to create content and our time is valuable as well. So it's not free in the sense that, we don't really invest anything, but you're not putting any money online. Like you don't have to pay for a website domain to get started with social media marketing. Should you still start with a website? That's a separate conversation. But if there's no initial upfront investment, you can get started and all it takes is some time for you to put your content together. Now, that being said, there are definitely some downsides of fast marketing. So as you may know already, it is very time consuming. And because you have to create so much content to stay relevant and heard on the platform, you're never going to get to a point where it really gets easier. It does. You get more familiar with the content style. Maybe you have some systems in place to batch your content. Maybe you've outsourced it to someone, but that's a con in and of itself. You will always have a large time requirement in order to create your content, put it up consistently, be active in your stories, engage with your audience, etc. And even if you're outsourcing that, that's a con too, because that is a huge financial investment for your business. So there are quite a few disadvantages to fast marketing. And the really kind of key one here is that oftentimes it's really hard to stop using fast marketing in your business if you decide it no longer feels aligned for you. Maybe that is the sense of your clients are no longer on the platform, or you just don't want to use social media for your business anymore because it doesn't align with your personal lifestyle and values. It can be really challenging to decide to move off of it, because if that's where your primary sales resource or leads are coming from, then to stop doing it means you stop generating income in your business, which does not seem ideal. And I don't really know very many people who would want to take a huge income cut. The other, lastly, large disadvantage too, I should put this in here as well, is you don't own social media. TikTok disappeared for like 12 hours. What happens if Instagram did the same thing? What's your backup plan? You've just magically lost your business. You do not control it. You could get locked out, banned at any point in time, and then you're stuck. You have no way of connecting with your audience. So it's not reliable because you don't own it. That is a huge disadvantage of slow marketing, which is why I always recommend that you have, that's a huge disadvantage of fast marketing, which is why I always recommend that you have slow marketing and also email marketing set up as well. Although email marketing isn't technically fast or slow marketing. So I also kind of wanted to note just really quickly here that fast marketing doesn't necessarily have to be just social media. You can have fast marketing channels that are offline as well. So an example of this would be like networking. It often works as fast marketing because it helps you generate sales relatively quickly because you're like one-on-one in person with people, helps you build connections, and that translates to sales typically sooner than it would if you weren't in person with someone. So that's fast marketing. Now let's talk about slow marketing for a minute. So slow marketing is meaning that it is slower for you to get results. It takes a longer time period. You have to be really committed to consistency without seeing results for quite a while until you actually start to see those results. So examples of this could be things like Pinterest, sometimes even YouTube, blogging. If you're doing SEO work on your website, I wouldn't technically consider SEO work marketing. It is and it isn't. But I wanted to put that out there because I know from personal experience that SEO optimization takes a long time and you don't see the results right away. Sometimes this also counts for podcasts as well. So typically anything that you're going to do for a while and it might feel like you're talking to no one, and it's just because you haven't given it long enough to start to see the impact of it in your business as a whole. So offline examples, we'll just do a couple of those. Could involve being in communities. Those are sometimes great ways to generate sales as well, but often take a little bit longer for the community to like get to know you, especially if it's an online community. Could also be something like flyers or even cold calling people. Can be effective at generating sales, but does sometimes take a lot of phone calls. So there are, like I said, offline marketing that would fall into both of these categories as well. But for today, I'm going to be talking about specifically online marketing that is fast and slow, and then how to choose the ones that work for you to build a sustainable business. So pros of slow marketing. Long form content works really, really well for this. So if you're already doing some version of long form content, like a YouTube video or a blog or a podcast, that in itself is slow marketing, but adding additional slow marketing to it to amplify your results is usually relatively accessible to you. So it makes it easy. They all play really nicely together. So once you start doing some versions of slow marketing, it's easy to kind of build on those efforts and kind of have it multiply. So slow marketing, as you may have guessed, is slower to get results. And that's kind of what we're classifying it as. You have to be committed to consistently taking the actions and know that it may be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months down the line before you start to see a lot of significant results from those efforts. It kind of builds off of each other. Like you don't eat a salad and magically lose 50 pounds. You have to continue eating the salads every day, maybe drink some water, go to bed early, get up early, do your workout, those sorts of things. It's those small daily actions that compound to get you the big result of losing 50 pounds, but it takes a while. Slow marketing would be, if we're using the same like health and fitness example, would be like going in for weight loss surgery or like liposuction or something like that. That's probably a bad example. I have not experienced either of those. But you know what I mean? It's like the very quick, like overnight results. Like we are microwaving our business. We want things like now. And as an individual who would like to make money in my business, I understand the appeal of fast marketing, but also from someone who is willing to put in the work and has actually lost 50 pounds, 50, 30, maybe 30. I don't remember anymore. It was a while ago. It was 2 kids ago. There's also something to say about the sustainability of doing it long term. And we'll talk about how all of that impacts your business later. But I really just wanted to clarify, like, what slow marketing is and the difference between fast and slow marketing. So it's not that all fast marketing is social media, because one of the slow marketing channels that is really popular is actually Pinterest. And a lot of people consider Pinterest to be a social media platform, and it is and it isn't. It's kind of like a visual Google. So it's like a little different, but it is considered a slow marketing channel. Same if you have like a YouTube account. YouTube results typically don't happen overnight. Again, speaking from personal experience. Like blogging and podcasting also would be considered slow marketing. And although this may not technically be considered marketing, it kind of is, but like SEO work. So whether that's to your website, whether that's to your website or to your podcast or to your blog, etc., it takes time to generate a large enough base of like SEO things to get organic reach and conversions and all of those things. So those are slow marketing channels. Pros of having slow marketing: it has a long content lifespan. So when you create something that's slow marketing, it will last you forever. It's not like social media where 48 hours and it's gone, or 24 hours and it's gone, like an Instagram story. It's something that's going to be around for a long time. People can go back and read my blog posts from like many moons ago. You can go back and listen to a podcast episode that I released 2 years ago. It's like, yeah, we're approaching the 2-year anniversary of Go Get Great. My mind is like blown, guys. This is so exciting. It's like if you SEO your website lives forever. You may never change it, which is its own thing. And it will continue to be there. So like all of these things that you're doing in a slow marketing channel will serve you well time and time again. And that's why they build off of each other, because the more of them you do, the more potential avenues you have of people finding you and like purchasing from you. This is also what people usually consider that make sales while you sleep. And not to say that you can't make sales while you sleep with fast marketing, especially if you're a product-based business. You can have people find you on Instagram, see your content, and then purchase a product. But more so, this is like the, like evergreen funnels that you typically put in place for your business, where someone might find you from one of your long form things and then make it through to your website and like hire you without necessarily having a call or purchase from you that way. So it can be in both, but oftentimes it's more so in the slow marketing channel because you have so many things that have just built that it happens more consistently. With fast marketing, there's a lot more work that has to go into making sales while you sleep when you're doing fast marketing. Another pro is that slow marketing, it's often long form content, can be repurposed to your fast marketing channels. So it actually makes doing fast marketing easier for your business. So like my podcast, I take clips out, throw them up on social media. That social media content that's supporting my fast marketing channel, even though it originally came from a slow marketing channel. And lastly, I want to say that with slow marketing, you typically own what it is that you're creating. You own the podcast episode, you own the blog post, not necessarily with Pinterest content, but and there's usually also a direct connection to your email list growth. So it supports a more sustainable growth for your business when you do this. And again, we'll talk about kind of the channels of how people would find you. But like, for example, Pinterest. So people see a pin of mine, they go listen to a podcast episode, and then they download the freebie that I talk about in the podcast episode. Or they might go straight from Pinterest to the freebie and download the freebie. I've had a lot of people really liking my podcast setup checklist lately, and also my ChatGPT prompts. So I've seen a huge influx of email list subscribers from my Pinterest content in the last 3 weeks, which is awesome. I love it. These are pins that I created like 6 months ago, and they're still generating leads for my business, which I love. Okay, so some cons for slow marketing. Obviously, the biggest one, it takes a really long time for you to see results. Like I say, you have to be committed to it. I started really going hard on my Pinterest content, but like I really committed to being consistent with my Pinterest content last spring. And not to say that I didn't see any results from it. I did, but not in this magnitude, because it took me a long time to create enough pins that I'm consistently getting leads in my business. Like usually I get like at least 1, sometimes 2 leads a day, like email subscribers, leads. a day from my Pinterest. That's kind of what I've been experiencing over the last couple of weeks. But it took me almost an entire year of creating pins to have a volume where that happens. I think another one of the cons, and I'm putting this in air quotes, is that these are often seen as more advanced skills. Social media tends to feel easy because we're familiar with it, whereas things like SEO and Pinterest, which you use SEO on Pinterest, a lot of people are like, no, that's too hard for me. I can't understand it. It's really not. It's actually super easy. I love Pinterest. It is like so much fun. But people see it as really hard, or, oh, I can't SEO my website because I'm not techie. I don't know what SEO is. Let me tell you, from the least techie person on the planet, it is a different kind of hard. There's a lot of things that you have to learn when you get started, but it's not actually hard to do. And there are lots of resources out there to make learning really easy. So like the course I took is like absolutely phenomenal. I love it. If you're interested, send me a message. Because I would highly recommend that anyone interested in doing SEO takes this course, because it just like makes it so simple to understand. It breaks it down into bite-sized pieces. Still a big project to SEO a website of my size, but I know what I'm doing now and I have the confidence to do it. So it's not necessarily advanced. It's just different. You just haven't learned it yet. And that's how you have to look at it. It's just, oh, this is just something else that I haven't learned yet. Maybe when you started your business, you didn't know how to manage your finances. Maybe you didn't know how to market yourself. Maybe you didn't know how to put like service packages together. Maybe you didn't know how to get suppliers for your product-based business. You learned how to do that. This is just something else you're going to learn how to do too. So another con, a lot of people consider this a con because they often consider that there is a cost involved to doing this. A lot of them there isn't. It doesn't technically cost you money to start a podcast. It doesn't cost you any money to start using Pinterest. But for some of them, like a website or blogging, which you need a website for, there is a cost to getting started because you actually have to pay for the website platform to host your blogs, or to just like in general have the website. And even if you are a podcaster, I would still recommend that you have a website to do blog posts for your podcast episodes. So again, maybe a little advanced. There are some advanced things that you can do here, but it just gives you the options to do it. You don't necessarily need it right away. But there sometimes is a cost. And usually when you go the route of setting up your website and all of that, you also need to set up email marketing. And again, you should have this anyway, even if you're a podcast without a website, you just put it up and it goes to Spotify, whatever, you should still have an email list, because the people that are listening to your episode should be able to download something for free to get on your email list, so that then you can market to them and sell your stuff outside of your podcast episodes. So, I mean, yes, okay, kind of cost, but also like just practical things that you should have for your business anyway. So to me, I don't consider that, but I wanted to put it out there for other people as well. So in overall summary, there are pros and cons to both. And I want to talk about how we can actually use them in a practical way in our marketing. So most businesses, when you start a business, typically start with a fast marketing channel. You create a business, you create social media accounts on like every single platform in existence. Separate conversation. And it's not a bad way to grow your business, truthfully. It can sometimes be functional, at least for a specific period of time. It helps you get out there in front of new people. You start to market your business. You start to get some of those initial sales. I'm not going to knock it. It's a good strategy. It has worked for many business owners. But I will say that if you do this long enough, then it becomes a detriment to your business, because now you're stuck on that the hamster wheel of content creation, constantly having to turn out new content, more content all the time, because you don't have any sustainability to your business. You don't own the platform, and now your sales are often tied to the number of posts you're creating in a specific week or month. And the only way for you to like get off that hamster wheel of content creation is for you to hire a team to support you with that. And again, that comes back to money. So not always ideal. So I really, really, really think that as much as it is important to start with fast marketing, that you're not ignoring the slow marketing even when you're getting started. I know that there are like 18 million things to do when you start a business: your branding, your logo, your website, your social content. You actually have to deliver products or services to people. I'm not disputing that there's not a lot to do. There is. But the sooner you can also add a slow marketing channel to your business, the sooner you build in that sustainability that you're looking for. I would say that somewhere between the like 6th and 12th month mark, that would be like a really good sweet spot. You're starting to add some form of slow marketing, whether that be a podcast or a blog. It's probably a little early to start on Pinterest. Just like a little kind of side note caveat here. Pinterest really only works if you have freebies that you can promote, or if you have long form content on your website, or I mean, technically off your website, but on your website is best. So Pinterest is something you would start after you have a podcast or after you have a blog, after you set up email marketing, you have some freebies, you could do some of that too. But that if you just have like one freebie that you're promoting, you're not going to see results on Pinterest because you can't pin to it that often. So Pinterest probably wouldn't be the first one that I would have you start with for slow marketing. You're going to want to choose some form of long form content. Do that, then add more slow marketing after. Maybe by the time you hit the 1.5 mark, 2-year mark. 2-year mark seems to be a good sweet spot for Pinterest, which is usually kind of the next one that people add. They're like, okay, now I've got the blogs, I've got the podcasts. Even if you're only putting out 1 episode a month, I would love to see it weekly, but like even 1 a month would be good. You've now got 12 episodes or blogs that you can direct people back to on Pinterest. That's enough for you to start on Pinterest. So kind of consider adding a second one, maybe at that 2-year mark in your business. That would be like a really good timeline for you for slow marketing. You've kind of got enough stuff done in your business. You've got some initial income coming in that you should be able to add some time or dedicate some time to these slow marketing channels, so that by the time you're, if you're starting at 12 months, by the time you're hitting the 1.5 year, 2-year mark, you're starting to see some of the results from that slow marketing initially. So then it makes sense to add more and to kind of multiply those efforts. And just again, another little caveat, if you're setting up slow marketing, podcast, blog, etc., at the 6-month mark or at the 12-month mark, wherever you're fitting it in, that is when you should be doing email marketing. So either just before or like in and around that time, because as soon as you start creating that long form content and start building in that slow marketing, you want to start growing your email list so that you're actually capitalizing and collecting the information from the people that are consuming that content that you've spent time creating. There we go. So that is like in an ideal world, how I would fit it into your business. Start with the fast marketing and then add the slow marketing after. And that's going to be a really sweet spot for your business. Like I said earlier, to help you get the sales initially and then also build in the sustainability and the, make sales get leads while you sleep, so to speak, to grow your email list. And then your email list becomes your business asset. It becomes the revenue driver so that eventually, if you wanted to, you could stop doing fast marketing. Doesn't that sound nice? And that is actually going to be the topic of next week's podcast episode, a special request episode about what it would look like to take your business off social media and how you would make sure that it still stays sustainable. So before I could do that one, I really felt it was important to outline all of this for you so that you can understand what I'm talking about in next week's episode. So definitely stick around for that one. It's going to be a really good one too, because I'm sure that the person who asked me about this is not the only one who's considered it. Hint, hint, it's been on my radar for the last little while. Not really quite there yet. Like emotionally, I still love Instagram. But from a practicality perspective, Pinterest is just let me tell you, it's great. I love it. So it is a bit of a balancing act. Trust and have faith that fast marketing is not the best way to grow a sustainable business. It's really not. You don't have to trust. I'm sure most of you know that. It's very frustrating. It's exhausting. It's overwhelming. Slow marketing may be frustrating and exhausting in the beginning because you're not seeing results from it. But in the long run, it's great. Like I said, slow marketing is like how you lose weight. It's like building out your retirement savings plan. It's like all of the good things you should be doing because it yields the good results later. So hopefully you found today's episode helpful. It was a relatively quick one. Just kidding, 25 minutes, not relatively quick. But like I said, stay tuned for next week's episode because they're kind of connected. So I will see you then.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Go Get Great. I hope you found some useful tips and tricks that can help you make life and business work together. If what I said resonates with you, please share it on social media and don't forget to tag at Brittany Miller Socials so that I can celebrate you for taking those first steps towards achieving greatness. Remember, success doesn't happen overnight. It takes dedication, hard work, and a lot of spirit. So don't be afraid to dream big and go after what you want. Keep striving for greatness. You get closer with every step forward, no matter how small they may seem. Until next time, go get great.